Hey, if you're looking for a top-notch preamp, right, that won't break the bank, well, you got to check out the Fosi Audio ZP3. Hey, fellow desktop hi-fi enthusiasts, I'm Bruce, and today we're going to be diving into the Fosi Audio ZP3. Now, that's a compact, yet really versatile analog preamp, and it's designed for desktops and small hi-fi systems. So let's talk about what's in the box. Well, it's nicely packaged, protected really well. And when you open the box, you're going to see the first thing, the user manual. And then that's going to be followed by a power cord and not the standard IEC power cable. Next, there's a 12-volt trigger, a 3.5 millimeter trigger cable, and a functional remote. And finally, the ZP3 itself. And I really like how well it matches the rest of the Z line of Fosi Audio. Now, my initial impression is that it's well made and a perfect size for desktop listening. Now, if we go over some of the features of the ZP3, it offers a lot. It offers 2 RCA inputs, 1 XLR input. There's RCA output as well as XLR, and also a sub out. This is all in one box. And it includes bass, treble, EQs, a left and right balance knob, and a 3-level high-pass filter at 20, 80, and 120 kilohertz. That's to route the low frequencies more cleanly to your sub and take some of that bass hit off of your main speakers. So here's what you get with the ZP3, right? You get per input volume memory, a remote control, and even a 12-volt trigger I/O. So this is all in a fully aluminum chassis with an internal power supply. Now the specs are very impressive as well. I'm not going to go into all the detail on them. Link in the description down below for more information. But the signal noise ratio is 115 dB at the RCA and 112 dB XLR. Sign-out of 113 dB and imperceptible distortion, like 0.0007%. Talking about the design and build of the ZP3, well, it's about 8.5 inches wide, 7 inches deep, and about 2.25 inches tall. So it's perfect for a small desktop system, and it weighs about 2.5 pounds. So fitting it on your desktop should not be an issue. Now on the front panel, you're going to find the power button, which also works as a source selector, a balance control, bass and treble controls, and a large Z-series volume control with a nice detent and knob feel. On the back, there are 2 RCA inputs, XLR inputs for a total of 3 different inputs, 1 RCA output, XLR outputs, and the 12-volt trigger, a power switch, and finally the power connection. So now let's take a look at the remote. So at the top is the power button. Below that is a mute button, volume up and down, and a pause control pad. The mode button allows you to switch inputs, and finally at the bottom, the ability to control other Fosi devices. Runs on AAA batteries. Well, let's talk about the sound and how it performs. So let's start off with the gear I use to test this with. Now, I set up my hi-fi rig using my iPad Pro via USB to connect to the Fosi ZD3 DAC, then to the Fosi ZP3 preamp, and finally to the ZA3. And I'll share links to these review of these products down below. But I made sure to connect all 3 devices with the 12-volt trigger so I can turn it on using the included ZP3 remote. And by the way, you can control the Fosi DAC with the same remote as the preamp. Now for speakers, I'm using the KEF Q150s instead of my R51Ms. Now the reason for that is I think these are more neutral sounding and refined than the Klipsch. The entire test setup could be purchased without speakers for under $600. And you're getting an excellent sounding desktop hi-fi rig that can deliver up to 85 watts per channel into 8 ohms with the XLR inputs, and an excellent Saber DAC with USB input, and get you 32-bit 768 kilohertz output on there. That's what's capable of. That's a pretty smoking good deal. For music, I tried the ZP3 with pop and jazz music. Now, in order to honor one of the in my opinion, one of the greatest pop rock musicians of all time is Mr. Billy Joel. And one of my selections is probably the best of his albums, in my opinion, which is The Stranger. Now, the ZP3 adds subtle polish. The vocals are centered, they're crisp, they're vibrant, while the bass lines, well, they maintain their drive without muddying the mix. As for jazz, I chose The Shape of Jazz to Come by Ornette Coleman, and I highly recommend it. You know, the track Eventually really puts the whole system through its paces. I mean, there's a lot of dynamic slam in there. As I said, the ZP3 is, I think, really ideally suited for jazz, pop, rock. Why? Because it has super low noise floor, transparent signal path, and it just lets the organic textures of the acoustic instruments really shine. The piano notes have a weight to them and decay that, well, just naturally, the upright bass lines are delivered with just full richness, full body, never boomy or muddy. In my opinion, the ZP3 is perfect as a central hub. You know, you connect the DAC, maybe a streamer, turntable, possibly even a turntable if you use an external phono amp, preamp, which Fosi makes, and a sub without adding clutter. And that's the big thing on a desktop system. Because if you're building a small desktop system or a main system for under $1,500, this pairs nicely with the Fosi V3, for example, or the ZA3 amps. Even some balance gear as well. Let's go over the pros and cons of the ZP3. So, the first pro, right? All the inputs and outputs, right? 3 in, 3 out. So you got real flexibility. And they used a lot of high performance parts in the build, capacitors, so forth. It's low noise. There's low distortion. You get a high pass filter for the sub out. And that is rare for something this price. Okay, you get tone controls. You get balance control, you get volume memory, you get a remote, you get 12-volt trigger input and outputs. For cons, well, the tone circuit can't be fully bypassed, but that's pretty typical in a lot of systems. As long as you set it to the 0D10, shouldn't be an issue. The power cable is one of those Mickey Mouse things. I really wish they would have gave you a standard IEC power cord, but it is what it is. For around $199, that's the street price. The ZP3 is a preamp, I think, that solves real problems, especially in a desktop hi-fi build. You get to have your multiple sources, you get clean sub integration, and flexible control, all with audiophile grade specs and build. So if you appreciated this review, hit that like button, subscribe, and comment. What would you connect to your ZP3? DAC, streamer, turntable, a sub? Let me know in the comments down below. And links are in the description that include the ZP3 and as well as any other options that might be available for it. Well, thanks for watching Desktop Hi-Fi. I'm Bruce Naylor. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.